Hey, what is up guys, GuitarRock here. Welcome back to another Girls Frontline 2 video. So let's talk about Qiuhua. Alright, if you guys are not aware, she will be available in the next banner very soon, about 1 day from the time of me recording this video. And of course, we also have a rerun which is going to be Vector. So I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about whether or not you should be pulling for her as a new player. Alright, so probably you have heard by now about the rumors of how strong she is in a burn team. Right? So we're gonna dive into her kits as follows and talk about her and whether or not you should be pulling for her and how relevant is she to your team as a whole. Now first things first, alright, before we jump into Qiuhua, and I know that she's going to be the highlight of today's video, and I get it, right? You guys also need to pay attention to the more important character, in this case, Vector. Alright, Vector is going to be the core for Burn Team, in my opinion. If you do not own a single copy of Vector yet, you have to get her. Alright, in my opinion, Vector is the must-have. She is going to enable Qiuhua, because Qiuhua being a DPS character, a damage dealer, is better for most players to still like borrow her, right? In most cases, if you're trying to get like a strong one, alright, she is going to be much more easier for you to be able to borrow that way. And for most players, Vector makes the most sense because Cheongju is one of the strongest burn character in the burn team, right? So if you're trying to build a burn team, Vector is going to be the core because she is pretty much the supporter. Now I am aware that if you guys are pulling for waifu, then by all means, go for it, right? So she has a very interesting skin right here that will come alongside with the particular banner. Now, how many copies of Vector should you get? You should get at least V1 because that's going to be the good stopping point. Now, whether or not you can afford to get the weapon, that's going to be a different story. But for Vector, she is going to be much more of a supporter. Now, her V1 is going to basically affect your burn characters to do even more damage. You can see burn damage taken increased by 30%. This is going to be very good, right? The number of all support attacks dealing burn damage is increased by 1. Again, this is going to enable your burn team even more since like burn a team generally do rely on support attacks, right? We got Shakri, Cheongju, and of course in this case Vector, and whether or not you have Centaur Risi, etc, that's going to be what it is. Now in terms of building a burn team, it's pretty much going to be fixed now, so let me just roughly show you guys how this is going to be like. Generally, if you're trying to build a full, complete burn team, it is going to be a 5-team combo moving from now, right? So ideally you got Vector as your main support, alright, and then you got Cheongju to support everything else. So obviously Cheongju is going to be the one that is going to do the most damage outside of Qiuhua. We're going to talk about her shortly, and then you got Shakri to complement the entire thing, and last but not least, your healer is going to be Centaur Risi in this case. Centaur Risi is going to get her neural upgrade expansion, that's going to be very strong. So this is pretty much how it is, but in Gunsmoke, you're going to add Qiuhua in here, which is what we're going to be talking about. Where does she lie generally in the burn team composition? Now, you might have heard of this particular statement that Qiuhua is as strong as, if not stronger than Gluke. Can you guys imagine that, right? Now that statement is true if you have a V6 Qiuhua, alright? If you compare a V6 Qiuhua versus a V6 Gluke, yes, she is going to do a little bit more, and that's going to be of course it depends on how you build them, but generally she is considered to be one of the top meta characters right now if you're looking at DPS. Now the problem is getting her up to V6 or getting just any characters up to V6 is not going to be possible for most players, right? So it doesn't matter how much you spend in the game, like you could be a super mega whale and that's fine, right? But there's just generally better characters for you to do so for, right? Even Springfield, in my opinion, is a better V6 than Qiuhua. Now let's talk a little bit more about her. Where does she lies right now in the meta, right? So first things first, she is going to be a shotgun DPS character. So that's going to make her a very interesting one. She's a burn type DPS, alright, so very cool. Her basic skill is going to do decent damage, even though she's a shotgun. You can see very good range right there, right? Now, skill 1 selects enemy target within 6 tiles, deals burn equal to 120% of the attack. Now, if the distance between Qiuhua and the target is less than 4 tiles, alright, this is going to increase the damage dealt. Very cool. So the nearer you are to the target, the better it is. It's going to make her very strong in Gunsmoke situations. Now, skill 2, so 6 tile radius of self and deal burn damage equal to 30% of the nearest enemy target within a 6 tile radius. After attack, you get an extra command and reduce the ultimate skill cooldown. Alright, one more thing is ultimate also has a decent AoE, but this is going to be the one that you can see. AoE damage equal to 90%, applies Scorch Mark to all enemies within the radius. So this skill will consume all of the confectance index, which is a skill points. Each confectance index consumed increase the damage multiplier by 5%. So the more confectance index you have, the better, right? So I feel like for her rotation, depending on whether you have that or not, you might have to use a skill 2 first to fill up your confectant index, right? Because once you have that, enough of that, or maximum confectance index, and you go all in, multiplier is gonna be a crazy number. Now, what about her passive, right? So this is where it gets interesting. If there's no allies within 2 tiles of radius of self, alright, increase burn damage dealt by 5%. So ideally, don't put her too near to everyone else. You want to put her all the way in the front. So preferably, if she's the one that tank, then that's how it is, right? So if overburn is applied on enemy within attack range, undergoes instance of Y support, dealing burn damage, alright, equal to 60% of her attack. So this is going to be very cool, and increase the confectance index by 1 point, increase crit by 30% when dealing burn damage towards targets with scorch mark. So this is going to make her a very strong DPS character as well. So she is going to be of a Vanguard class right there, and that's going to improve significantly. Now Y's support right here, you basically can activate 2 times per turn if you can increase her or get her up to V2, right? Now so far none of her skills are like, you know, screaming like impressive damage etc, but if you can see right here, right, she is going to basically be improved slightly. I guess what makes her really strong is like her V2, right? When dealing damage, if crit rate is above 100%, each 1% additional crit rate is converted into crit damage. So she has the ceiling because of this, right? So if you build her with a lot of crit rate, you don't have to worry about overcapping it, because like if you overcap her crit rate, she will basically convert that to crit damage. This is going to be very good. She also gets a 15% increased burn damage. Very strong for V2, but even this is not that impressive compared to a V6. Alright, V6 is where enhance the effects of Scorch Mark, alright, increase damage dealt per stack to 10% of the caster's attack, and increase the number of stack gain when receiving burn damage to 2. So V6 is she get like this super Scorch Mark. This is going to be the important factor of how she can do more damage, right? Now what is this Scorch Mark thing? So at the end of the action, right, the caster deals burn damage equivalent to 7% attack of the holder, alright? Each additional stack increases damage multiplier by 7%. So the more stacks of Scorch Mark you get, the better, right? The number of stacks are then reset whenever you do damage, right? When the holder receives burn damage from enemies, increase the number of stack by 1. Now keep in mind, when the holder receives burn damage from enemies, so you pair this with put her in the burn team, alright? This is where if you put her in the burn team, her damage scaling is gonna go like crazy, right? Go like exponential, because Shakri, Chongju, alright, Vector, Centauri, all of those will be able to do burn damage, increase the stack by 1, 2, right? This can be stacked up to 12 times, which can easily be achievable, because if your Shakri, your Chongju, and all the support attacks that you get be stacked upon the boss, her damage is going to be insane. So ideally in a team, you sort of want her to move last. You want everybody to stack the Scorch Mark first, and then you get that, boom, you're gonna go in and do a lot of damage, right? It is a burn debuff, cannot be dispelled, very cool. So this is going to make her really strong in that particular case, right? So why is she so strong is because of this particular thing right here, right? So her ultimate skill is literally the strongest, one of the strongest damage in the game, has very high ceiling, as you can see, achieving like crazy amount of damage potential, right? If you get her up to V6. Now with that being said though, right, so we are talking about V6, 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 what about V0? Alright, what about V0? Where does she lie if you are comparing her at V0? Now her damage is not that high. If you are just looking to pull one copy of her for V0 for collection, which I do intend to do as well, Chongju is going to do more damage than her, right? So that's going to be how it is. She is not going to have that kind of a ceiling unless you get her up to V6. So the whole point here is try not to have like super crazy high expectation of her, because she is not going to be, you know, the ceiling is not going to be insane by any means. So she's pretty much a V0 or V6 sort of unit. So compared to someone like Kluke, which is like much better in terms of there's like a V3 in between, it's going to be much more like easier for players to get Kluke instead, right? Plus Kluke is very strong in a lot of PvE scenario as well, right? She can move twice, which gives her the damage potential in trying to get rid of the enemy. For bosses, I get it that Qiuhua might be able to excel in that particular case. Now, if you don't have her weapon, or if you don't intend to pull for her weapon, right? Her weapon is like okay, right? Increased burn damage. It is going to be pretty decent. If you intend to get her to V6, sure, get her weapon, right? But in most cases, the Battle Pass weapon, Expeditionary Pigeon, in this particular case, is going to be the second best one for the recommended. Or if you don't have this, you're not a Battle Pass buyer, you're free to play, go with Heartseeker. That's going to be a weapon that you can obtain. Now, with the Dorito update coming, we are going to be able to, you know, get plenty of Dorito chips convert into tickets. I get it that a lot of players are going to be very, very hyped and excited. But generally, right, for Qiuhua, if you are going to use her in a situation, in a Gunsmoke situation, she is probably going to be the character that you want to borrow. Ideally, anyone else's one in your particular platoon. If they do have that particular additional dupes for you to be able to obtain, then you should go with theirs instead. So with that being said, that's going to be it for this particular video. A quick announcement before you guys go. I am currently recruiting for my platoon. We have one slot available. So currently, Woke Lollies, that's the name of the guild, alright? On Dark Winter server, if you guys are, you know, planning to look for more like a hardcore guild, we are constantly in top 100. Let me show you guys right now in the rankings. Based upon the Gunsmoke recently, we are currently rank 76, right? So if you guys are interested to join, feel free to let me know, or just apply. I will try to look at it, or you can join my Discord and hopefully just tag me there and let me know that you're applying, right? So we're looking for one more member, preferably level 60 players, right? If you're below level 60, it's really hard, right? Because I am trying to find serious players as well. So with that being said, that's gonna be it for this particular video. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys haven't pulled for Springfield, last chance, you still have one more day, I believe. With that, subscribe, give this video a like, have a nice day, goodbye.